I mean, I think the biggest thing for the final mile of an ultra is to savor it, enjoy it. At that point, the race, if you're close on a time goal or something like that, you can make up a certain amount. I think it's good to savor it in that fashion, to push hard. But other times, just, I don't know, it's over sometimes. You're through the finish line, you're on this total high. I was I wish I could have relived. So really embrace that last mile. And sometimes that can be a struggle because it's, the last mile could be really just brutal and you're just so worked. But I think it's also a time for celebration and embracing just what you've gone through and enjoy it as much as you can when you're maybe really strung out and just so worked over that it maybe isn't enjoyable in the fashion you would think.
Type 2 enjoyment.
Yeah, there's that type 2 fun and type 2 enjoyment, and there's I think, beauty in that struggle and that suffering, so to speak. Yeah.
I think that last mile, it's really important to just enjoy it. Just remember not only the race that you've done, but actually all the training and the preparation that's got you there. So I try and take some time to think about all of that, because it's actually quite a special moment, at the end of an ultra when you're getting to that finish line. So, if you are hurting, just think back to all those training runs and those hours that you've spent putting in the work, and gather yourself, because I know some finish lines are a bit emotional and you can end up crying as you cross them, which I've done many a time. But I think that's good, because it's the accumulation of all the hard work that you've put in to get there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is there anything that you wouldn't do on the last mile?
Sometimes people can beat themselves up a little bit about, they haven't run the time that they wanted to, but actually, maybe that's what your body had inside itself for that day. So, just relax a little bit and enjoy it. And, there's always a reason to why you performed in a certain way. And that's not for that last mile to fight those demons. That's for you to do the next day. Just try and ignore it, bat those thoughts out of your head, and you can deal with it tomorrow.
I think it depends. A lot of people will find they get a lot of adrenaline when they can see that there's that last mile to go, and so they probably find that you don't really need anything. But what you could be doing is thinking 5K back. So, when you're 5K from the end, you might at that point want to take on a gel, maybe even a gel with some caffeine in it that can just give you that little bit extra to get you over that line. There's something about kind of the excitement of finishing and having a bit of a sugar hit that can really push you forward. So I think it depends. If you have severely bonked, then come that last mile, it might be hard if you've not taken anything on. But I think if you've fueled well, and you can see the finish line and you can feel the excitement, then you're probably going to be okay. But a couple of sips of water is not going to do you any harm. It can make such a difference. I think that's something else to remember, is that if you are using sports drinks, for example, we know that just a little bit of carbohydrate, even just a little mouthwash of carbohydrate, can trick the brain into thinking, oh, there's some energy. So in that last mile, that might be what you do. You just have a sip of an energy drink, and that might be enough to get you to the end. Probably not the best time to have something solid, because you're probably going to be running a little bit faster and you won't digest it as well. If you're not used to having caffeine, probably don't take it at that point, because again, it might disrupt your stomach. If you do decide to take a gel at that point, and that's entirely up to you, what I would say is don't try and have it all in one go. Split it up over the course of the first 3 or 4 minutes of that mile, so that you can absorb it a little bit better. But apart from that, I don't think there's anything else I would say. I'd say just go with it.
In the final mile of your ultra,
What should you be doing?
do you know what I always do? And it is often, it's weird you ask that question, because in the final mile I always make a point of just being thankful. I've got to the end of the race, and remembering all the good things about the race, and trying my utmost to be in that moment in the final mile, and just really, just be thankful for I've been able to do this and for the experience I've had, because sometimes you get carried away with the elation of finishing and you forget about that gratitude. So I always try and do that in the final mile, and run it sub 5 minutes as well. Yeah.
Is that possible?
I don't know.
think it's all about your visualization and your mental capacity at that point, because also you don't know how you're going to feel that last mile. I felt great some last miles, some other miles I've thought I just need to walk or crawl home. I think when you've got that far and you've got a mile to go, it's all about just thinking, I've got this, I've done it, so I just want to get home. Equally, it's really nice to savour it, isn't it? If you're, you've nailed it, you've accomplished what you want, whether that's just to finish it, whether it's to get in at a certain time, whether it's to beat someone else or podium. Everyone's got their goal, and just think about that. So that last mile for me is just I just feel really happy that I've done it. I think if you've done any race, and especially an ultra, you should just be over the moon. Yeah. And just take it all in, because it may, those feelings, we don't get them that often. We don't do ultras that often, so just savour it.
Yeah.
You've probably been through the highs and the lows on a long ultra marathon. You've probably peaked and troughed psychologically. I mean, you've probably thought sometimes, I'm on the ropes here. It's hard. And when you get to that point where you can see the finish line, I mean, in the desert you can see it a long way off. So, I think we're about 10 kilometers away. We could see. But psychologically, I was like, right, I am drinking this in till I get there, and I'm going to remember, and take time, because it's over. Ultimately, when you cross that line, it's over, and you're back to life, aren't you? You're back to whatever you're doing again, and that adventure's over. So drink it in, that last little bit, and enjoy it. I'll be honest, I cried a little bit before I got to the finish line, because I was just so emotionally charged. I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe. And you will meet the most phenomenal people. You might think your reasons for doing it are great, but you'll ultimately bump into people that you go, wow, don't they deserve to get around this? And that's the great thing about ultramarathons, I think. It's such a community spirit when you're doing it. And especially on a long one, you end up usually pacing beside someone, same time, every day kind of thing. You're like, oh, hey, you do the afternoon stint with someone. And to see those guys cross the line either before or after, it's awesome. It's great. It's something to take pride in, I think. So yeah, I would just say drink it in. Just try and remember it as much as you can.
Would there be anything that you would advise not to do in the final mile?
Yeah, don't count your chickens, because don't do that whole sort of skipping thing, because the amount of times I've seen people do it, fall over, hurt their ankle, and they're like, and they're you think, why did you do that? You got round 100 odd miles, and now you've just totally trashed your ankle. But I think, I just think, enjoy it. Just these things are there to be enjoyed. No cartwheels, no handstands, no skipping. I can't twist my ankles, but I could hurt myself. Yeah.
Subscribe free on YouTube and follow me on Instagram for more gear tests and training advice. I also have a book out too for everything you need to know about trail running in one handy package, including more gear advice, nutrition tips, recipes, ways to beat injury, and training plans from 10k to 50k. Check it out here.